Welcome to The Roll Call, the podcast where we dive into the roles that define us. I'm your host, John Glahn. On each episode, we explore the journeys of people discovering their true roles in life, business, and beyond. Get ready for inspiring conversations about finding purpose and authenticity. Let's roll the roll call. Welcome, everyone. I'm John Glahn. I have with me Mikel Berger, who is the president and CEO of the Greater Lafayette Commerce, which is another fancy word for the chamber, and many, many other things. I have to say for everyone, this has been a long time coming. I've been excited to get Mikel on here to hear his story and hear what he's doing for the Greater Lafayette area. He is an entrepreneur, a tech founder, an author, investor, entrepreneur, champion extraordinaire, cheerleader, and obviously he has a very significant role in the city that he lives in, as you see behind him. And so I'm excited to have Mikel here. All are accounted for. Let's start the roll call.
Awesome.
So I got to say, for everyone's sake, all right, some of these episodes will come out. Found my roots a little bit, going back to Indiana, right, to my Purdue days, and realizing how many wonderful friends growing up from my childhood, even and in college, that are now in the entrepreneurial world and are doing amazing things. And I'm ashamed to say it's taken me this long to really wake up and do this, but as I spent more time getting back into West Lafayette and Lafayette area, I had wanted to do an on-site podcast for a long time, and oddly enough, I was sharing with some other friends about what I was looking for, and Mikel's name came up from two different sources at the same time, and we just couldn't make it happen. So I am so interested to see, and because it's for travel and life and all those things, I'm so excited to see, Mikel, what in the heck you're doing here, why you're doing it, and how we can help you spread that help. So let's start from the beginning, Mikel. How
Awesome.
in the heck?
How the heck do I end up here? Yeah, so I'm a farm kid from northern Indiana. Came to Purdue University in West Lafayette, so we're like halfway between Indianapolis and Chicago. And I've thought since 1997, when I was a freshman, I'm probably in Lafayette about 4 years, another 4 years, and then I'm out of this place. And so that's been what, 25, 30, almost 30 years. And this is definitely home now. It's where I graduated a couple of times from Purdue. I hung around for a while, and then started a business with one of my professors, and that led to some investing activity with one of those clients turned friends, and mostly not in. So that was my first company was a software business. That company is still around. It's a software consulting contracting firm. It's actually just its office is currently just a few blocks from here. And what I found in that is I always describe myself, I've been around a lot of other folks that I thought were the real entrepreneurs. And I just wanted to build stuff. I was just kind of this engineering tinkerer type of person, but found that business was the best way for my ideas to have an impact. And then also found I could hire. My degrees are technical, but I could hire my friends and then students that came after me that were way better at the technical parts. And for me, I found if I could be in an early career, if I could be the best business guy in a room of programmers or the best programmer in a room of business people, then that was those were two pretty good rooms to be in and help translate between those worlds. So I've always loved working at the intersection of things. But yeah, that's the early part of how I ended up here in this community. And then this community has done a lot for me going forward. But
yeah, no, I mean, that's a pretty, actually, so I graduated in 2003. So I was a couple years after. But I know really, that's when the startup tech community started, right?
Yeah.
In West Lafayette, right? That's when it was really the incubators and things like that were really, really starting. And actually, like you were saying, hey, I'm out of here after this. I went to go chase a paycheck and a resume builder. So that's what I went and did. I didn't realize that I was an entrepreneur. I didn't think about it in that way.
Right. I think
So
the entrepreneurship certificate program started a year after you finished. In that, yeah, the Anvil co-working space was around. I helped get Matchbox co-working a few years later after that on the other side of the river
yeah.
going. But yeah, I was hosting little tech meetups with developers and people doing startup pitches and all kinds of crazy ideas and stuff. It was a super fun time.
Wow. So when did it click for you that, or did you consider yourself an entrepreneur back then? Or what did you consider yourself then?
Yeah, I don't know. I joke. So the job I have with the chamber now is the first time I've ever had a full-time W-2 with an organization I don't own. And I also just celebrated my 25th wedding anniversary. So I told my father, I got the job like the week after our anniversary, and I called my father-in-law. I told him I got the job, and said, "You're a very patient man. It took me 25 years to get a real job after marrying your daughter." So yeah, so many people think entrepreneurs have this grand vision and plan, and and it just works, right? Or it doesn't. But I think for most people that's not it. You have a goal, you have visions, and then you figure it out along the way. So coming out of grad school, this professor that I liked, where our paths diverge, and where they're not kind of intertwining, and there's no wrong time. But I was some of the best advice I got was from this professor that I ended up starting the business with, Kyle Lutz. And I said, man, none of the job options were that intriguing to me for whatever reasons. This was still a little .com bubble had burst. And so there weren't as many options, at least I thought, that were good. And I said, I kind of have my own software product ideas. I had been doing a little contract work just, to pay the bills, get rent money and stuff. And like, I don't know, I might start a business someday, but I'm probably just going to go make as much money as I can for 5 years. And, as a student. And the advice from the professor was, Michael, owning a business is a good way to make a good amount of money in the long term, but in the short term, it's a really good way to be poor. And if in 5 years, it seems now like it's rough, but you're a smart guy and you'll figure it out. You'll be making 6 figures. And I was married at the time, got married pretty young in college, and said, you and your wife will probably have a couple kids, you'll have a mortgage. And some people do it, but that's a real different game because you have a lot more to lose.
Right.
He's like, basically right now, you're used to being poor. You don't have much to lose. So if you want to start it now, he said, I'm not going to quit Purdue. He almost had, he's like, I almost have tenure. And that was a goal of his, but he came to academia in a weird way and through business and stuff. And so he said, I'll help you. And then I'm pretty soon here, I'm going to have more flexibility with my time. So he did, been my business partner ever since in that first software business. He eventually did leave the university to be full-time with the business and stuff after we got it going and things. But no, the best time what's the parable about planting a tree? The best time is 30 years ago. The next best time is today. So that's the best time to start a business. It's never too late. It is a different game. I have friends that that like your age, our age, that are like, tell me how you started a business. I'm like, dude, it's a different game. There are ways to do it. And I think there's a lot of myths around, Shark Tank or other kinds of things. But everybody's story is a little different. That's kind of what I love about entrepreneurship too, is there's really no one right way to do it.
No. Grit is a big piece of it. Perseverance, all those things. There's a lot of luck involved. There's some intellect involved. There's some money involved, or there's just
all of that.
Just false hope or whatever some people might
call it. It is. That's also the nice part about being young, is you don't know that it's really going to be hard, and you just dive in and figure it out. And sometimes I wonder if as we get older, there's some wisdom that comes with age. Like I don't have quite as much energy as I used to in my 20s. But I'm also like way more effective, I think, with what I do have. I also wonder, I'm like, some of the stuff though that I tried that worked, I probably wouldn't try now, because I can see like the 8 ways that could go wrong.
Yeah, sometimes our experience freezes us now.
So I'm in the season of life now. I'm seriously putting up things to try a certain amount of experiments or to guard against that. Try to find that right balance, not just go do stupid stuff, but
Well,
keep trying new
so
things.
yeah, so I want to get closer to that. So when did you said you're out of that business, found a business,
Yeah.
correct?
Yep.
What were you dabbling? I know you're doing a number of different things in between then and now. So what?
Yeah, so I self-started a nonprofit co-working space in town because it was the place I wanted to exist when I was starting my first business. This was like the early teens, we opened the doors in 2014 on that. And it was, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was my first foray into economic development. So how do you help a community help entrepreneurs for it then in the turn of the benefit of that? And so Matchbox is a co-working space for tinkerers, startup founders, and remote workers, even before COVID, and that became the cool thing to do.
Right.
And just a place where I sit kind of all the economic misfits. And I use that term lovingly because I'm one of them that don't quite fit in all the boxes that we have, but do a lot of cool and amazing things. But that was just a passion project. There's a team that runs it. I was on the board for 10 years after getting it started. But it just super connected me into even more businesses. So software development, contracting gave me insight into a lot of different businesses, writing code for other people's businesses mainly, and then through the Matchbox co-working space. And through those two things, then my main business over the last 8 years was an investment fund that a good friend and partner, Daryl Starr, and I put together. We raised capital from about 35 other investors. We put money in to acquire small businesses, think retiring owner operators, think service businesses. And we started very local, Lafayette, down towards Indianapolis area. Did 17 deals, expanded geography-wise a little bit, probably got a little over-diversified on our lines of business, condensed that a little bit, expanded the geography a little bit, and did that over the last 8 years before joining the chamber here in August.
Interesting. So talk to me about that. So were you guys operating the businesses, or
Yeah, so we were call it very micro private equity. And so think we said we like to play in the space below where traditional private equity would care, just for the large size of the typical fund. So we're a fund, but we're a very small fund relative. It wouldn't move the needle. But also a business that is a little too big for an employee to buy out their boss, or there wasn't a son or daughter to pass the business down to. A lot of times the business had been successful, so it funded the kids of the owners going to law school and becoming or doctors, and they didn't want to run dad's tool and die shop or his auto glass shop. And so, but these are good local bits. So we did no franchises, all local brands. And how do we help them grow and transition? If we could, we would train up a manager from the employee base. Sometimes, in some cases, they had tried to buy the business, couldn't pull the financing together, or really just wanted to focus on the technical thing they did. These are generally, we did service businesses, so they're difficult to bank. So even if there was an employee that wanted to go get an SBA loan and lever up, there wasn't a lot of tangible assets to do that against in a lot of these things, but really good people that are really technically good at what they do, and an important part of the fabric of our community.
Yeah. So did you guys, this is where I get my own plug, and I didn't even intend to have this happen, but operating systems, or what did you do to commonalize things?
Yeah, that there's a lot of hard lessons learned in that, because we bought a diverse set of businesses. And I was part of learning, like, the thing when it hit me the most, we owned a lot of service businesses, and that was me and Daryl's, both of our independent backgrounds. And I had been a vendor to his company, and for me, kind of professional services. He had been in kind of services and logistics and agriculture. So in retrospect, we knew service businesses pretty well. And the ones we acquired, like our auto glass shop, it's really this little logistics business. You got to get an auto glass tech out, do the technical thing, and then back, and putting that route together, you make the money. The profit is all made in getting one more job in per tech per day.
Right.
And we understood that. We also bought a brewery, which was super fun. I was the unofficial quality control department. But but a brewery, and so it was not just a tap room. We did have a tap room, but we bought it in part because it was probably the 4th or 5th largest craft brewery in the state of Indiana.
Mm.
But the top 3 are
Massive.
are way bigger,
Yeah.
and we were kind of at the top of that next tier. And that was a hard spot to be in because we had packaged, we were in Kroger and Sam's Club and
Nice.
those kinds of things. Yeah, but that business was about 75% manufacturing, and that's what brewing is, and about 25% a restaurant. And I didn't really know either one of those businesses. And it was a subscale restaurant and a subscale manufacturing facility all in one, and totally different from everything else we were doing. And we didn't have any systems in place to, one, identify that, or two, to make it work. So there's a lot of other stories in there as well. So we eventually ended up selling that business. We buy them with the intention of owning them forever.
Sure.
A good cash flowing business, indefinitely owned, was our goal. We weren't trying to flip, but also, if we're not a good home for the business, and we found we weren't, so we sold that to our head brewer, made another business owner, took a financial loss on it, but made another business owner in the case.
Yeah, boy, I've got scar tissue. As soon as you said that, I was like, I know where this is going. Without even knowing where it was going. Yeah, fun. I did some similar things. Fun business idea, right? Just tough. For mine, it was in a city that was not COVID friendly, and that nailed it. And ever since then. So anyway, enough about me. But so that's great. So helping the community, helping those companies stay in business, right? Or helping that, because in many cases, when there isn't a successor, then it's just, we'll shut the doors. And so you've been impacting the local economy for years, right? Going back to Matchbox, et cetera. So you already had that kind of movement. So now the $1 million question, because you said it earlier, you're now an employee, which I don't know how that'll ever happen to me again. But but it feels like this could be a different situation.
It's a W-2 job, but it's a special job. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And
so
I like to try new things. I haven't done this before, so we'll see.
Yeah. So, but and I know you're not. So again, I think, a chamber can show itself in many different ways in many different communities. Can be very significant, can be very slight, could be. Let's just say there isn't all one glowing review for all chambers, or Better Business Bureau, or whatever it might, economic development. What and how long has it actually been? How long have you been on the job now?
A little over 3 months. So I'm still the new guy, and I'm claiming that for at least a year.
Yeah, you have to. So what is it that you're doing now? Why are you doing it? And where's it going? There's a lot of questions in there. We'll get through them all later.
Yeah. So I am president and CEO of Greater Lafayette Commerce. We are the one unified chamber for both the city of Lafayette, the city of West Lafayette, Tippecanoe County. We also are the lead economic development organization for that same community and for our region, the 7 to 9 counties, depending on the type of work we're doing and how we partner with. So they have their own chambers, they have their own economic development organizations, but we work well with them. So in my view, a chamber, part of the reason I took the job was I asked the board, the search committee, so where's most of the revenue come to fund, what will be my salary and my staff? I have a staff of 12 who are great. They've been awesome. I said, where does revenue come? They said, mostly membership dues and events, programming that members. So I'm like, okay, cool. For me, this is a B2B service organization. I have always found in my career, I do best when I'm talking to another business owner saying, tell me about your business. Like, oh, that's fascinating. I just weirdly get interested in all sorts of, the nichier the business, the better. I will talk all day long about your business and try to understand it. And business owners generally like to talk about their business. And so cool, and you're growing. Awesome. But you have some challenges in that. All right, let me see how you help. So I used to write software for them. I used to provide a co-working space and, memberships and that. I used to sometimes help them, their business keep growing by buying it from them and building upon what they built, right? that is what I've enjoyed. Now I have different tools in my tool belt. So to do that, we could talk about what some of those tools are.
Yeah.
But that's what we are for our community. And so we're primarily a membership organization of the businesses. I joke I can't make my members do anything. I have very little authority in their businesses, but I have influence. I have almost everybody. It's awesome now. I have almost every business owner's phone number and email address. So it's my job to hold that. That's a lot of trust. That's a lot of stewardship that the community has placed in me, and that every time we're coming up on membership renewal season here. And so they voluntarily choose to be a member because I have to provide more value in some very tangible and, good ROI ways, and also in just some intangible long-term ways as well for those members. And then how we help the business community benefit the rest of our community. So a chamber, there's lots of business associations. There's Desert Business Bureau, you mentioned. There's BNI groups. There's CEO peer groups. Those are awesome. The chamber doesn't have to do everything, but a chamber is a unique one in a community because basically local government, the nonprofits, the educational institutions have said, this is if we can only deal with one business membership group, it's going to be the chamber. And so a chamber has sort of this liaison role between government. We're not the government, so people think we are. Like, oh, how's your new job with the city? Well, we're the city, and neither one, and that. But we're a nonprofit, and we're funded mainly by, not 100%, but mainly by membership dues to represent those members and help their businesses do better.
Well, and I think that's what maybe a misnomer for me as well would be not understanding. That's why I want to dive in more with you, because I think like one of the reasons we couldn't meet at one point had to do with you having to do something with local government.
Yeah. Well, so this is where, so the chamber side of what we do, and not every community is like this. This is the only one I've done business in, so I just thought everybody was like this. But a lot of communities have multiple chambers for different ethnicities or different types of businesses or just neighboring communities. And then they often also have separate economic development organizations.
Right.
And we're, to our community's benefit, leadership about 20 years ago combined 6 or 7 entities and put all together in Greater Lafayette Commerce.
Wow.
So I get to lead what was like 6 different entities and objectives. And so the chamber part, generally you can think of as, how do we help the business community locally here do better for the businesses that are already here? How do we help them grow, expand, have just whatever we can do to remove roadblocks for their entrepreneurial visions? The economic development side covers not a big part of that is company attraction. So how do we help new businesses grow? So I think I had to cancel our last one when you were in town because I got invited to San Jose. We have 3 semiconductor companies here, and we'd like more. We think that would be a benefit not only for the existing semiconductor companies to round out their supply chain, but also for the benefit of the existing businesses in that. And so I got kind of a last minute trip to San Jose where there was a semiconductor conference and dinner going on to go represent, along with Purdue and a few other folks, our community. So I'm like cheerleader for doing business in Greater Lafayette.
Yeah, no, that's a bigger hat than, like I said, most chambers. That's why, again, the more I've dug in a little bit with what you guys are doing, it's not the normal route. Like for instance, I see the name of the companies that are on your wall that are part of your membership group. These aren't mom and pop shops, right? You think you have all the above, right? You're trying to help.
Yeah, we have over 1,000 members, from brand new startups to Subaru, Wabash, Nanshan, Caterpillar. And so, Subaru has 6,500 employees, so they're bigger than some small towns themselves. And then we have a major research institution in Purdue along with that, which is a major reason that a lot of those companies, global companies, want to do business right next door to the university and the talent and the technical research and facilities that are there. So how do we bridge? And that's really the role of the chamber, is how do we bridge that? So yeah, I have a call later tonight, and it's tonight because it'll for the other folks on the other side of that call, it'll be tomorrow morning in Korea. And so and explaining to them, the snow's not so bad. We don't have mountains or beaches, but we have a lot of smart people that like to work hard and get things done. And lots of other cool businesses to work alongside. And that's what I can say. I can attract you, and then I don't have to pass you off to somebody else once you're here.
Right.
We're here to help you. So Subaru came here like 30 something years ago. We're still helping them, you know. And so if you bring your business here, and we have ways to help you. Also, if you're, a college student like me and you want to start a business, we have stuff for that too.
Wow. So let's dive into that a little more. So what, again, many of the other groups that you mentioned, right, that maybe their version of helping is, having a speaker every once in a while that could provide some insight on how to run a business, or, again, certain parts of the business that folks need. And many times that is catered to the smaller business because they don't have access to that kind of educate or whatever, right? They're just
100%. We do that. Yep.
And then you've got, again, these mega corporations that they have a different need. So, what is it that you're saying, the extra benefit types of things? How are you helping those small, I guess let's go small, medium businesses. How are you helping them?
Yeah. So a lot of that is it's education and access to resources. So we do our own programming for that. So everything from kind of business 101, what does it take to get started on a business? And then we do something called quarterly development series. So 4 times a year, we host a luncheon, about 300 people. And we tend to bring in speakers, state, regional kind of level speakers to speak on a topic that otherwise a small business isn't going to be able to get them, to come. Like Subaru folks attend that, but Subaru can also, they can get those folks to come and do an in-house, town hall, those things, and that's great that they do that, but our small businesses don't. So we're open. That kind of stuff is open.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think you just had the gala of I'm sorry, I should have.
Yeah,
it was like
annual celebration. Yeah.
And that was like, what am I wrong on that? It was like over 800 people or something like that.
Yeah. Yep. So that's our biggest event of the year. We celebrate the successes of the previous year. We hand out awards and just highlight the cool things that our members have been doing through the last year. And we also look ahead. I say it's as we're celebrating the past, but it is much about here's where we need to go in the future. And yeah, over 800 people attended this year. It was our largest one ever. That one's just help people. Sometimes we're good Midwestern folks, and we just put our heads down and we get to work, and we don't talk about all the cool things we're doing. And every once in a while, I think it's our role as a chamber to remind people, hey, let's get dressed up a little bit and remember what other cool people are doing, alongside you. And let's keep the place moving.
Yeah, and I have to do a plug for your team. Right, has been so hospitable for me. I didn't know what to expect when I was first introduced in, right? And my good friend and client Tom Andrew was the one that that introduced me, right? And I walk, and he's like, "You got to come down to this place. You have to check it out." I'm like, "Okay, sure." And then you walk in, it's just such a cool. It feels entrepreneurial, right? Because it's an old bank building that has been. It's beautiful. You're showcasing so much of the community in there with really cool effects, and everyone in there to a T. Again, it was far more staffed than I expected. I mean, like you said, you have a team of 12, and I'm like, how in the world? Because again, in the beginning, what are these people doing, right?
Yeah.
And now it's, again, understanding what your reach is so significant, right? When you're talking about economic development.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you see that. I've gotten to see it. I've been a member of GLC for 15, 20 years with my businesses, but you don't really until you're kind of on the inside, or I've gotten to see the swath of things. I think that is probably the biggest challenge I have. I say my VP of marketing, Chelsea, I think she has maybe the toughest job, even tougher than mine, because she has to help tell me and everybody, us all, tell the story. And rightfully so, the Subaru and Wabashes of the world care about slightly different things about Greater Lafayette commerce than a brand new startup. But that's also the unique responsibility we have, is to make this community a good place to do business for all of those, because they benefit from each other. My small businesses have had some of the largest companies in our community as customers and clients, and we felt that we've gotten to rise as they rise, and we've shrunk back a little bit when they've shrunk, right? But we've also got a diversity in that too. And so we've been able to shift, from, you can write software in lots of different industries. You can buy businesses in lots of different industries when you're small and nimble. And how do you navigate those things? And a chamber's role, I see, isn't to make those decisions for the business owners, but it is to provide information. It is to be a neutral, trusted third party, so business owners and leaders can make the decisions they need to make that are best for theirs and their businesses. And when we do that, not 100%, but generally it works out for the benefit of the broader community. And that's the team's goal. So yeah, we have marketing people. We have people that are awesome at putting on events. We like to convene people in physical spaces. And I think that's kind of a cool retro thing that is actually needed more in our community and world, and then not less now.
I absolutely agree, because it has become a little bit of a lost art, right? I mean,
Yes.
Again, I'm guilty of it as well, right? Become a recluse, right? I'm doing this from my home today. I have other options.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing. But any entrepreneur, the learning in here is any entrepreneur who is dealing locally, any business, big, small, it's like business 101 is being around other businesses, right?
Yeah. That's how I learned it. My degrees from Purdue are very helpful, but they are technical. And I haven't written code in a long time.
Yeah.
And so I've learned business by doing it. Now, if you got an MBA or whatever, that's great. But
yeah, no, I've got pieces of
learned
paper
it from other entrepreneurs and clients and friends, and a lot of things like, ooh, that's cool. I should do that in my business. And then also a few things like, ooh, that looked like that was a dumb idea. I better never do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that simple thing of networking, which becomes an ugly word to some people, and not that I don't, just an interesting question too. But are you I'm sure you're welcoming people to work together, right? Other businesses, but not to make it like you're coming here to go get business from someone. That's a byproduct, right? It's not like
generally, we do a lot of covert networking things that are educational, but then if you're both interested in this topic, learning about this topic, like you probably are aligned on maybe do business together. And then we do have we have an event called Connectors. It is speed dating, trade business cards, and no shame. We got jobs to do, and who are you looking for? That's the nice thing you mentioned. I mean, this is what I like about doing a business in this community, this size of Lafayette, Greater Lafayette area is. I call it a big small town. So you said like two different people that you talked to mentioned my name. Like you're not 6 degrees of Mikel Berger, you're like 1, and I don't know everybody, but I've met a whole heck of a lot of new people that I thought I knew everybody in the last 3 months. And so, probably now, John, that you know me, you can do it. And you can do that in Lafayette. You can still do that. I don't think you can do that in some bigger cities, Chicago, maybe Indianapolis. But also at the same time, we're not so small that we don't have some stuff going on. So we have semiconductors, we have automotive, we have trailers and logistics. We also have, a leading AI software platform startup that has had multiple rounds of venture backing in town. And his wife might be the better CEO, and she owns a candle company that ships millions of candles online e-commerce, all direct, no Amazon, overhead to pay there, and so
Yeah.
like there's that kind of stuff is happening. I can tell stories all day, but I
Yeah.
think for your listeners too, though, is like, yeah, I'm the chamber guy, so like come here and do business, right? It. But really is like look around your community is what I would encourage. You got listeners from all over. What can you do in your community? If there's something that you see is happening here, and you're like, well, what's the thing, that I could do? My community needs that. Like I think that's the entrepreneurial mindset that more people need to bring to their the place they live and call home and do business in.
Yeah, and I think again, being from and that's where I was coming to on the networking side. One, it's maybe for other people to do business with, but on the other side, like for vendors for my own business, I want someone that I trust, right? That
Yeah.
not that we need to be calling the CEO of every company when something goes bad, but whenever you have that trusted. Again, we all have vendors. We all have things that we need as a company,
Right.
and so, but the more I can physically know someone, it's just different than a transactional, right? I can probably save a few bucks, maybe doing some other thing, but it's really insurance, right? Knowing that's the insurance of when stuff really goes bad. We've got a way to catch that. And so that's where I think, again, for the learners or for the listeners, and everyone is, getting out and maybe not just thinking about it from a sales perspective, but you are going to learn something more for your business than selling a widget, which I think most people coming to those events, right, are attempting to, right, when you have a product or a service.
Exactly. That's the vibe. And I think a lot of that is just helping people think long term. You might walk into those events and you might get out with a connection today, but if you go about it in the wrong way, that's all you're going to get. And it's actually much more valuable to create a relationship that might lead to more business with that person down the road, but really leads with the trusted referral to who you really need to be doing business with. And
yeah. And so much so for me right now in my world, right? I do have a business, but me, I'm in the business coaching world now, and loving every minute of it. But I also need to have trusted people. So if I have clients who have lots of needs, very similar to, you have so many resources that you can help people with. I certainly need that too. Like normally when I'm going into something, I'm looking at a connector to find out, okay, same thing for me. I'm not going to refer someone just out of the blue, right? I need to make sure I've got the trust relationship. So there's so that shift of going into with an open mind of not just, hey, I have to come here and sell.
Right.
Is a huge deal.
Yeah, there's a book, The Speed of Trust is a good one
Mhm.
on that, if you've read that, but
Yep.
how you can get there and the things you have to do to get to that point.
Yeah. So let's do a transition because I know we've done all about business, and I wanted to have you on obviously to promote what's happening at the GLC, and also to get more of your story, which is awesome because I love when people go from significant or from making an impact financially to making a significant impact in the community around them. So I love that. But what other roles? Because I believe one time we had a miss because you had a trip that you were doing overseas. I believe it was a mission, right?
Yeah. So I have been an elder at my church. So depending on your church background, it's kind of a lay pastor, an unpaid pastor / board member is kind of the best way to think about that. And then I've gotten kind of most involved in through my church in a ministry to orphaned and vulnerable children in South Africa, and local stuff here as well. But I've served on the board of that ministry for the last 10 years. So minus a couple of COVID years there, I think I made 8 or 9 trips to South Africa every October, and has become a place that I've loved. And so orphanage, kind of family-centered orphanage, and a school down there. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun doing that.
That's great. And how about on the home front? The roles, I mean, obviously you've been a busy guy. it appears to be that you've had a lot of things going on through the past 25, 30 years. So what kind of roles are happening? You
At
describe?
home, yeah. So I think I mentioned my wife and I just celebrated our 25th
Yeah.
wedding anniversary. Got married when we were 21, juniors at Purdue,
Yeah.
and she's just been a blessing. She was a high school, public school chemistry and physics teacher for a number of years. But then as kids started to come around and as business was starting to grow a little bit, she gave that up and I say it stays at home, but doesn't stay at home much. So she does a lot of volunteer work also with our church and in the community. Loves to work with international students and meet. What's one thing I love about Lafayette for a town our size and a town in the Midwest. The nations have really come here, mainly because of Purdue, but also Subaru is a Japanese company. SK Hynix is a Korean company. And so it gives a really eclectic mix. And my wife loves meeting people. I'm paid. I have to be paid to go out and talk to people. My wife just does it naturally. So I joke. I talk to people a lot for my job, but I'm more naturally an introvert. And she is very extroverted and helps me connect with people and stuff. And yeah, 2 kids. My son's a junior in high school, and my daughter's an 8th grader.
Oh, very cool. That's fun time of life. I've got a big range myself. I've got a sophomore down to a 4-year-old. So.
Oh, wow. Nice. You got the full range.
I got 4. Yeah. So my wife is the saint in this picture. Well, Michael, this has been great. What I like to do is I like to ask one final question, which is what's a significant mistake, failure, falter, something that that you benefited from that maybe others could as well?
Yeah. Man, so many. It's part of me is like, I'll give you one, but the thing is like, I think being okay, learning to be okay with mistakes happening, mistakes, myself or mistakes that kind of happened to me, and realizing though, as long as you get to keep playing the game of business, then that's it. And that's the wonderful thing about business. I think probably the one that stands out that I've learned the most or carried with me was fairly early, not in the super first years, but Delmar had grown a little bit, my software contracting firm, and we got over concentrated in one customer because they were growing. So it was awesome. They're growing, we're growing. Yeah. And for understandable reasons, later I came to understand. I got a call on Friday at 5 p.m. and said, I had maybe half my company working for this client. And they said, you're not authorized to bill any more hours on projects effective immediately. We'll talk again on Monday. I'm like, oh crap, what has happened? Am I gonna have to lay people off? And we worked through it. I mean, they cut us off, but we worked through it as a business, and we figured those things out. And so just even if things were going well, there's still risk in your business, and understanding who your customer really is and what drives them, and going deeper. And I had a good relationship, but I just didn't really have a level of understanding of both their business and my business and how they interacted.
Yeah, that's probably a whole nother episode to talk through things like that, right? Because again, we most of us have significant scar tissue from a very similar type of story. Right? It's whenever
learning I'm not alone. Oh, it's actually been way worse. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm glad I don't have your problems. I'm glad I have my own problems. It is also a good thing for business owners to hear.
Yeah. Well, and I think most of the time it's when you're riding high, and things seem like they're just going great. That's generally, and we won't need to get into a religious conversation here, but that's generally when I think God's normally like, let me tap you off this pedestal for a little bit. You've got something to learn here. And if you don't realize that that's what's happening, it can take you down a very, very dark hole. So thank you for bringing that up. Well, Michael, this has been a ton of fun. I'm glad we could finally jam, and I look forward. I'll be back there in a few weeks, so I look forward to maybe rubbing elbows with you.
Would love to grab coffee, man.
Yeah. So again, for anyone else here, what's the best way to contact Greater Lafayette Commerce or yourself? Lay it out there.
You can greaterlafayettecommerce.com. Also, LinkedIn is probably the platform. I'm on all of the platforms, but LinkedIn is business-wise is great. And with my parents' foresight of giving me a unusually spelled name, it's actually a family name, but I'm fairly Googleable. So Mikel is but just Michael. So you can find me on LinkedIn. There is a great way to connect, and would love to connect with more of your audience and business owners in general.
Perfect. Again, thanks again, Michael. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this. I know you will. I know I did. We'll call that a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to The Roll Call with John Glahn. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe for more insightful conversations. Remember, discovering your true role in life is a journey worth exploring each and every day. Until next time, keep defining your path and living your authentic self. This is John Glahn signing off.